Well, welcome. Welcome to our devotional. It's good to be here with you. Well, we're doing this series on looking at the question, is Jesus irrelevant? And today, I'm going to look at two misconceptions that some people might have that might cause them to think that Jesus is irrelevant. Well, the first misconception is this. Some people would say there is no God, and furthermore, there can be nothing spiritual. No God and nothing spiritual. This is what's called a naturalist philosophy, that the physical universe is all that there is, and there is no such thing as the supernatural. And they say, well, Christianity is all right, but there certainly were never any miracles. And certainly there's no life after death. And certainly there couldn't be any prophecy. And certainly Jesus couldn't have risen from the dead. But apart from that, take that apart. That is Christianity, isn't it? And I want to talk a little bit about this idea of the possibility of there being no God. Well, first of all, I heard it said, actually, I saw this written down. I really saw this written down in a very prestigious journal. And what it said, no person of science can believe in God. No person of science can believe in God. And I want to tell you, this is ridiculous. It just simply is not true. Well, how do I know it's not true? Well, I am a person of science. I studied at the university until I was 30 years old. I came that close to getting a PhD in continuum mechanics. I've had more mathematics than probably 99.99999% of all the people in the world, and yet I believe in God. So it absolutely is not true that scientists can't believe in God. And furthermore, I know plenty of people in science that are Christians, and of course they believe in God, people in the medical field and so, lots and lots and lots of people, and that just simply isn't true. If you ever see that written, do not believe it. I think that it's true that some people believe that if they can describe the way that God made it, it makes it true that God didn't make it. I know, that doesn't make any sense to me either, but I think a lot of people believe that. They believe that if they can describe a molecule as being atoms and protons and electrons and neutrons and subatomic particles and energy levels and all that sort of way that the physicists describe molecules, if they can describe it, then God didn't make that molecule. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's kind of like, when I was in school, when I was an undergraduate, I had to take Einstein's theory of relativity. And it was a pretty difficult class, but I studied Einstein's theory of relativity like the other guys in my class. And I understood it pretty well. So can I say that because I understand Einstein's theory of relativity, Einstein didn't invent it, or Einstein didn't create it? Oh, that's ridiculous. Einstein did it. I'm just one of the many, many people who understand what it was in the same way, because we understand God's creation a little bit. Just understand it a little bit. It doesn't mean that God didn't create it. Here's a statistic for you. 90% of Americans, I'm sure this is greater around the world, but 90% of Americans believe in God or some higher power. 90% of us here in America believe in God or some higher power. And you know what I think? I think that the reason that they do is they look around at all the things that are around. They look at nature and creation and the planets and the universe, and they say, somebody had to have made that. Where did it all come from? Where did life come from if it wasn't for God? Where did energy come from if it wasn't for God? Where did time come from? How is it that we're all trapped in time? A lot of science fiction people write all kinds of stories about this, but how did time get started? How did energy get started? How did matter get started if there isn't a God? And I think that 90% of the people in the United States would think that way. All right, let me tell you what I want you to do. I want you to use your imagination. And you put your imagination cap on, and I want you to make believe that there is a battleship that they just made. And this battleship is the most advanced battleship you could ever imagine. This battleship has guns, and it has missiles, and it has interlocks with the satellites. And they sent it out on its maiden voyage, and you know what happened? On the front port side, there was an explosion. And it got really damaged bad. Some of the plating got blown off, and it got damaged pretty bad. But there were all these auto repair systems that came into play. The sensors knew exactly what was blown away, and the auto repair system sent material and sent drones, and they all came in and they patched it up and they made it just like new. Furthermore, this ship now has auto repair systems so that even if half of it gets blown up during a battle, the drones and the material get all taken to the right place, and it gets made back into the exact way that it was first made. Furthermore, this wasn't a feature that was designed into that ship. It just miraculously appeared on its maiden voyage. All of a sudden, it started repairing itself. Do you believe that? No, I don't believe that either. But if you compare that ship to our bodies have all kinds of feedback systems and all kinds of wondrous things in them. For instance, my younger son, he's a man now, but my younger son had this malady. And what we found out has to do with iron. Did you know there has to be iron in the blood? Because that's what red blood cells are made of. See, the iron in the blood goes into the marrow, and that's where the new red blood cells are made. And the stomach controls how much of the iron, it takes iron out of your food, and then it controls how much iron is put into the blood. Furthermore, if there's too much blood in the iron, the liver will take that iron out of the blood and then dispose of it. And of course, the stomach will dispose of whatever it doesn't need. So there's always the exact right balance of iron in the blood to make red blood cells. Sounds like somebody designed that to me. Furthermore, you probably don't know this. I was hiking the other day. I don't know if you can see this. It's a boo-boo. I fell and I cut myself there, and it was a pretty good cut. We were hiking, and we were way back in the woods, and I was bleeding like crazy. Made a lot of snow red, and but you know what my body did? My body said, "Hey, Al's hand is cut. We better fix it," and it sent the right things to make that bleeding stop, and it did. And then eventually a scab formed on that. And every day I look at this, and every day it's a little bit smaller. And eventually, except for maybe a scar, I probably have a scar from this one, it's going to be my body's going to have completely healed it. Furthermore, did you know that if you break a bone, what happens is you have in your body, you have these undifferentiated stem cells that are floating around in your body. And if you break a bone, the body somehow will tell those undifferentiated stem cells to go to where the break is, and then the body will differentiate those undifferentiated stem cells into progenitor bone stem cells. And then eventually they will become bone cells, and your bone will heal. That's amazing. That's amazing. Our body has all these auto fix features in it, and all these feedback systems in it, and all these controls and balances, and it is not possible that they all happened by chance. There is a designer, and I call that designer God. And I think it's really implausible to consider how wondrous our body is made and to not believe that there is a designer that we will call God. I mean, to me, it's just not logical. Well, I want to look at one other misconception, and this one we're going to do pretty quickly. This misconception is this: You see in the papers every once in a while a headline that says Christianity is declining. Christianity is declining. In fact, Christianity is going to be gone in 10 years or 3 years or whatever kind of claim they make. And this is just false. Just false. It's a lie. Maybe the paper's looking for clicks on the internet, or I don't know why they would do that. Maybe it's sensationalism, whatever. The truth is, this is the truth, Christianity is declining in the United States. But worldwide, Christianity is growing. Worldwide, Christianity is growing. How many Christians do you think there are in the world? A billion, yeah. 2.5 billion Christians in the world right now. That's more than 31% of the world's population. By, by 2050, there's going to be 2.9 billion Christians. That's what everybody projects. Furthermore, by 2060, there's going to be 3 billion Christians. And Christianity is growing at a rate that's quicker, that's faster than the world population is growing. So where we're about 31% of the world's population, it's the biggest of any religion, by the way. Well, we're about 31% of the world's population now. By the year 2050, we'll be about 32, a little bit less than 32%. It's going to gain more than 0.5%. And it doesn't sound to me like Christianity is declining, and Christianity is going to be gone, and Christianity is irrelevant. So, with all that said, what I want to tell you is don't believe people when they say there is no God. It's obvious that there is a God. It's obvious that there is spiritual things. Please consider the claims of Jesus because they're based on a God and based on spiritual things. And furthermore, don't believe it when somebody tells you, well, Christianity is going to be gone. Christianity is not going away anytime soon. It is alive and well and growing in the world. Well, with all that said, there's only one thing left to say. Say it with me. Aloha. See you there. God bless you all. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.